By the time Captain Phasma carried you back to your room, you were really out of it. You had a vague recollection of cracking your eyes open slightly to see Captain Phasma setting you down on your bed, because you specifically remember the way the light from your bedside lamp reflected off her silver armor as she turned around and left the room. Ladson's voice sounded faint and far away as he bent over you, telling you something about B before he disappeared from your line of sight. B? What about B? Was he going to go find him? You want to roll over and turn your head towards the living room, but your entire body aches and you can't move. You hear talking, or think you hear talking, and you try to move your head in their direction, but it won't budge. Your entire body feels sluggish and heavy, and you don't have the energy to even move into a more comfortable position. You're pretty sure you can hear people come into your room, and that's when your eyes slip closed. You don't wake up again until the next morning. When your eyes finally do shoot open again, you immediately grimace and clutch at your side to try to alleviate the sharp, shooting ache in your stomach. How long had you been out for? You push yourself out of bed and look around, but your room looks the same, staring back at you with its usual, unblinking gaze. Nothing seems different. Nothing is out of place. You swing your legs out of bed and shuffle towards the living room, where everyone else has already gathered. Finally, Ladson says as you walk in, she wakes. Your eyes immediately fall on Sadie to see her reaction, but she doesn't even register his comment. She looks way more concerned about you. How are you feeling? B asks as you throw yourself on the couch beside Ladson. You want something to eat? Ladson asks you quietly, and you just nod, brushing your bangs out of your face. Ladson looks at Shane, who simply nods and gets to his feet. So someone's going to have to tell me what happened yesterday? You ask hesitantly. Your question is met with a chorus of nods. Okay then, yesterday. What happened? We're not exactly sure, B explains. We heard someone saw resistance fighters approaching the base, but I'm not sure how much stock we can put in that story. He glances over at Shane in the kitchen. Either way, it was either just a false alarm or a training drill. We heard the sirens, same as you, and were immediately escorted back here. We went out into the hallway after we heard the sirens, Sadie volunteers. Shane and I didn't see you guys, and so we headed back here too. We figured you were already here until B told us you hadn't gotten back yet. They didn't send anyone looking for us, Ladson says as Shane hands you a plate of food. You thank him quietly. Can you believe it? What a bunch of jerks. We figured you were just waiting for everything to blow over, B says smoothly, and you can tell that they had been arguing about this for quite a while. C finally speaks up. The important thing is that everyone's okay. You have the next 2 or 3 days off to recover. How long were we in there for? You ask nervously. 8 hours, Sadie offers. 9? Holy shit, you murmur. You turn to Ladson, who just closes his eyes and nods. So much for your 2 hours. Apparently you suck at keeping time. Well, that makes 2 of us, he says simply. You're a bit disappointed that he wasn't joking around with you like he was before, but you suppose the fact that everyone was here had something to do with it. You felt like you had really made a connection with him, like you really had made a good friend back there. But maybe it was just a friendship built on yesterday's circumstances and nothing more. Shane looks over at you and leans forward in his seat. So how did... Enough! Ladson snarls aggressively, putting his hand protectively over your knee. You pull at a slice of bread with your teeth and stay quiet, watching the scene unfold in front of you. Sadie looks at you now, curiously, and you blush and look away. Complications upon complications. They glare daggers at each other, and B sighs and sinks his face into his hands while C just gets up and leaves the room. You say at length, but no one looks at you. They've been like this all day, Sadie tells you quietly, even though they are sitting right there and can clearly hear what she's saying. Shane wants to know how you got out. Captain Phasma was the one who found you guys, right? Shane asks. How did she know you were in there? They were probably just checking rooms, B tells him. There was a little red light above the door that kept flashing, Ladson adds. Maybe that was some kind of sign to show that there was still someone in the room. Or maybe there were hidden security cameras in there and they saw us. Shane leans back in his chair and crosses his arms over his chest, like he's not satisfied with Ladson's answer. Can I have some water? You ask through a mouthful of food, and Ladson gets up to get you a glass. Please, do drink up, he says. You were locked in that room for quite a while. You're probably very dehydrated. It's probably why you passed out. That makes sense, you say casually, because it really does. You had a very faint recollection of expending your mental energy trying to get a message out to Kylo Ren, but then everything after that is just fuzzy. Here, Ladson hands you a glass of water, and your fingertips brush his as you take it. Thanks, you reply softly, and your eyes skirt again to Sadie as you drink. She sits, watching you with her hands crossed over her chest as if she's cold. You had to talk to her, but it had to be as inconspicuous as possible. No one talks as you finish eating, and you put the plate down on the table in front of you. Ladson picks it up and takes it into the kitchen to clean. You should go rest, B says. I know it's probably not what you want to hear right now, but... No, it's fine, you say quickly. Can Sadie come keep me company, though? B waves his hand dismissively, as if he couldn't care less, and Sadie grabs your hand as she pulls you to your feet. Wordlessly, you enter your room and shut the door behind you. So, Sadie signs as you sit down on the bed, I'm guessing there's more to the story than what I heard. You tap your ear twice and shake your head. What did you hear? She sits down cross-legged across from you and shakes her head. You tell me. Fine. You look at the door and then lean forward as you whisper, I think I'm... No, you can't say it. I think I'm developing my force powers. She cocks her head to the side. How so? You make the sign for Kylo Ren on the side of your face. I reached out to him, Sadie. I reached out to him with my mind and told him where we were. That's how Captain Phasma found us. KR sent him to come get us. Sadie furrows her brow in confusion. Why? You blink at her and shake your head. You don't understand, and she clarifies your question. Why do you think he rescued you? Your jaw drops as you try to make sense of what she had asked. She had a point. So what if you were stuck in a room for 8 or 9 hours? Why would Kylo Ren care about that? Unless he cared about your well-being? You make a sign by your face, the sign for cherish, or covet, or treasure. I guess, Sadie whispers. Well, at least now you have 2 guys to fight over you. You shake your head. There's nothing going on between me and Ladson. Like hell, she whispers back, slicing through the air with her fingers as she signs and talks at the same time. I saw the way he was around you. We're just good friends now, you tell her. You bite your lip as you think back to yesterday. Ladson didn't want you to tell Sadie that he wasn't interested in girls, and that was fair. It was not your place to out him. But at the same time, he wasn't telling her just to get at her wine stash. As her friend, didn't you have an obligation to let her know that she was being used? Then again, you could also score some good booze out of the deal if you kept your mouth shut. Ladson was right. You were all becoming truly wicked, selfish people by being here. Maybe he's just trying to make you jealous. She laughs quietly to herself. Is this some scheme you and he cooked up while you were stuck in there by yourselves? No scheme, you say, shaking your head. Besides, you really think I'm going to try to make Kylo Ren, of all people, jealous? You may not be able to get in my head, but he can get into Ladson's, and I have no desire to let him get killed, especially not over me. Fair enough, she replies. Anything else you want to tell me? You just shake your head. Nope. You take a nap in the afternoon, even though you had slept most of the day, and wake up at night. You're sitting in your room, reading, when you hear a knock on the door. Your eyes immediately dart to the door leading to the corridor before you realize that this knocking sounds different. It wasn't a knock so much as a musical code. It's also not coming from the corridor. You slip out of bed in your usual pajamas and make your way over to the living room door, pulling it open. Good, you're still up, Ladson whispers as he comes in, brandishing the flask in front of him. I thought maybe you had gone to bed. Nah, I tend to stay up late, you say with a shrug. Got more wine? Yes, he says, and there's a mischievous glint in his eye as he says it, as payment for keeping my secret. You don't have to, you say, but he tilts his head to the side and fixes you with a steely stare. Okay, yes you do. Thank you. There we go, he says. If I'm going to hell, I'm taking you down with me. Oh, believe me, I think I'm having an easy enough time getting there myself. I figured as much. He sits down on the floor as you lie across the bed on your stomach, looking down at him. Especially with those marks on your neck. Your eyes go wide and you grasp at your exposed neck. Shit, you weren't wearing a scarf right now. Relax, he says. I saw them yesterday too while you were out of it. He just takes a casual swig of wine and offers the flask to you. So, who'd you fuck? No one, you say quickly, aware of how stupid that sounds as soon as it's left your mouth. Well, he says, ticking names off his fingers, I'm willing to bet it wasn't Shane. You still have some shame. You nod your head. I'm willing to bet it wasn't Sadie. She's like a sister to you, and I don't think you're one to get turned on by that whole incest vibe. You reach forward to smack him, but he's out of your reach. It obviously wasn't me, unless I've been getting drunker than I remember. You never know, you tell him, and he laughs under his breath. Obviously not B or C, for obvious reasons, he says, and I doubt it was Taro, considering he doesn't really have teeth to make marks like that. I told you yesterday, you say teasingly, Kylo Ren. But even saying his name here sounds wrong, as if he could somehow listen in on your conversation by the mere mention of his name. Latson rolls his eyes like he still doesn't believe you. Seriously, though, who was it? You remember that stormtrooper that gave our interviews, you ask him? And he nods. He was really interested in me. Fucking knew it. Latson snickers as he high-fives you. Hey, we're all coping one way or another here. No judgment. You smirk and take the wine from him, drinking more than you should. To be fair, Kylo was the one who did your interview. It wasn't that far from the truth. So that's why you were so late that day? Yeah, you say casually. We've been seeing each other on and off since then. I'm sure, he says. So I thought about what you said yesterday. He takes another sip from the flask and you wait for him to continue. Fight me. You shake your head. What are you talking about? You said you practice your self-defense stuff at night, he says. I want to practice too, but I feel like an idiot doing by myself. Fight me. Let's spar or something. You're stronger than me, you tell him. I'm not going to hurt you. He shakes his head. Just playing around, that's all. Maybe it'll help keep my mind off being here. You sigh and get up off the bed, the muscles in your thighs protesting. You're tired, and all you want to do is flop back in bed and keep drinking. Fine by me. Let's go. Okay. He stands up and puts the flask on your desk before he stands in front of you. You both get into a fighting stance, throwing one leg back and keeping your arms by your chest. So, what do we do now? I don't know, you say. Aren't you supposed to come at me or something, he asks. Well, what are we doing? Fighting? Well, what kind of fighting? He shakes his head. Stop making this complicated and hit me. How? With your hand, he asks. Open hand, you ask him? Fist? Backhand? Whatever, he says. Your choice. Okay, you let out a breath. Like, fast or... He lets out a long, loud exhale and you rush forward, punching him in the chest. Ow, he says as he grabs your wrist. You try to pull away, but he's stronger than you, and so you try to punch him with your other fist. He grabs that one too, and he's standing in front of you, holding both of your wrists in front of his face. You move your knee up slowly to imitate kneeing him in the groin, and he bends his knees together but can't block you. Fair enough, he breathes. 1 point for you. You continue like this for about an hour until he is out of breath and eventually retires back to his room for the night. It was a nice change of pace, you thought, a nice distraction from everything that was going on. Over the course of the next 3 days, you did not have any more meetings with Taro. You weren't sure exactly why, but you supposed it had something to do with whatever drill or training exercise that they had, since you had fully recovered by the next day. B and C still went to their morning meetings, which you left to hang out with Sadie during the day. You had expected your sparring with Ladson to be a one-time thing, but he came back every night, bringing back wine and a fresh fighting spirit. You know, after 3 days of this, you'd think you'd be able to block me by now, you say, as you imitate kicking him in the groin again. Well, my hands are full, he huffs as he grabs your foot, then releases you. You take a few steps back and signal for him to come towards you. He kicks at your chest with his long legs, but you easily block his foot with the outside of your arm, pushing it out sideways. He almost loses his balance and grabs the desk for support. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were getting good at this. You are too, you tell him. Pretty soon the First Order is going to be on to us. They're going to get wind of our epic fighting ability and make us join their army. Don't even joke, he says. He puts his hands on his knees as he huffs and then signals for you to come at him again. You move to punch him, but he blocks it with his arm and slaps you lightly across the cheek with his fingertips. Ow, you say teasingly. Can't hit you too hard, he teases. Don't want your boyfriend getting mad at me. Boyfriend? You raise an eyebrow and stop trying to hit him. Since when is he my boyfriend? I don't know. Is he? Ladson asks. You stand up straight and put your hands on your hips. Are you asking if he's my boyfriend? Why? Are you interested? Please. He shakes his head. Just wondering, when'd you even see him? After meetings, you tell him. You rush forward to hit him again. He grabs your arm, but loosely, giving you time to spin around and elbow him in the gut. Gently. You know, secret little rendezvous. You step away from him and signal that it's his turn. Much more fun that way. He steps forward to punch you, and you duck out of the way, hitting him in the chest with the heel of your hand. He grins and takes a few steps backwards. Yeah, I bet. He stops and gestures vaguely in the air with one hand. I was wondering if you could, you know. You stare at him in confusion before the realization dawns on you. Are you being serious right now? I have needs too, he whispers harshly, and you hold the back of your hand against your mouth in a vain attempt to stifle your laughter. Fair enough, you tell him. So, is this what I'm doing right now? Distracting you from your needs? He shakes his head. I don't know how these guys do it day in and day out, but it's weird not having any regular human contact, you know? Yeah, you say, thinking it over. You hadn't really had any time to yourself to really think about it over the past few days, but maybe that at least accounted for some of your affection towards Kylo Ren. It was nice just to be touched, or held, or cared for, even if you didn't have a clue why he was doing it. Oh, you're thinking about him, he notices as he shakes his head from side to side. Am not, you insist. You rush forward to hit him again, but your movements are all clumsy, and you end up stumbling and falling onto him. Okay, ow, he says as you roll off of him, and both of you collapse in a fit of giggles. You need some more wine. He pushes the flask towards you, although you've been at this for 2 hours now, and it's almost empty. Honestly, you've had most of it so far, but you raise the flask to your lips and drink deeply anyway. I should get going, he says as he gets to his feet. He helps you up, and you stumble a little bit before bursting into another fit of giggles. See you tomorrow night? I better, you say. Or you better, or someone better. He just grins at you and shakes his head in laughter. Go to bed. I will, you say as he heads out into the living room and shuts the door behind him. You shake your head. You're not drunk, just a bit tipsy, just enough for you to be completely at ease with yourself right now. You could see why he drank so much now. Life was so much less stressful when you could just get out of your own head, when you didn't have to spend so much time cooped up alone with your thoughts. You had been doing nothing but sitting alone with yourself and your problems since you first got here, and it was honestly nice to just hang out with Ladson and drink and goof around with him. It made you feel more like your younger self, not uptight and professional, but relaxed and carefree. Relaxed and carefree aboard the Starkiller Base? Those were 2 words you never thought you would use to describe your experience here. It's more like the mood killer base, am I right? You ask Ladson, but he can't hear you, and you know that. You laugh at your own stupid joke anyway, and are just about to head to bed when you hear a knock on the outside door. You go over to it and open it wide, not surprised in the slightest to see Kylo Ren standing there. Hi, you chirp happily, and he hovers for a moment before coming inside. Your hair is pulled back into a messy ponytail, and you are just slightly sweaty from your exercise with Ladson. Your face is flushed red, both from exertion and the wine, and you're dressed in nothing but your shorts and tank top pajamas again. He looks at you, and you can't help but laugh as you look away from him. I'm sorry, but you need to take off that helmet. He does so, slowly, not saying anything, and you can't help but giggle again as his hair falls in front of his face. I am never going to get used to that. He looks vaguely insulted as he sweeps back his hair with one hand, and you quickly shake your head. Not what I meant, just that you're attractive under there. I didn't expect that. You cluck your tongue and shake your head, trying to get your wayward thoughts under control, remembering that age-old adage, loose lips sink ships. Are you okay? He asks slowly, looking you over. Fine, you reply simply. You take a deep breath in and let it out. Okay, focus. So, you, got my message, right? That I was trapped? He nods his head slowly and a grin spreads across your face. I knew it. I knew you'd come through for me. He tilts his head to the side. And how were you so sure of that? Because you like me, you say simply. He visibly flinches and you roll your eyes. It's not a crime, you know. People like me. I'm a likable person. I don't like you, he says, and you narrow your eyes at him. He lets out a long breath. But I don't dislike you. Well, that's something, you say. So why are you here? Are you trying to read my mind again? He hesitates, but you don't even notice as you continue blathering on. Because it'd probably be easy to do right now. I didn't knock a little bit of that wall in my head down to call out for you, and I'm glad we have that connection now. Otherwise, I might still be stuck in that room. Okay, well, I probably would have starved to death by now, but at any rate. Are you drunk? He asks, and you spread your hands out in front of you like a child pleading innocence. It was real wine from Alderaan, you say, a little annoyed with yourself for how childish you sound. Like, can you blame me? He shakes his head. I should go. No, you say firmly, and he turns around to look at you. You're about to grab his arm, but you freeze under his intense gaze. Are you attempting to give me orders? He asks, his voice dark. No, you say in that same stern voice. I'm attempting to stop you from making a mistake. He raises his eyebrows as if he's decided to humor you. And what mistake would that be? I don't know when's the last time you've been touched, you say, but I liked it when you touched me, and I think you liked it when I touched you back. And someone made me realize lately that being touched is, well, good. So I think we should keep touching each other. You close your eyes and bite your tongue, aware of how utterly stupid that whole thing sounded. When you open your eyes, he's staring at you with the most peculiar expression on his face. You know what? Just go back to choking me again. Torture me, whatever. At least that will get me to shut my mouth. There are other ways to do that, he says softly. Oh, well, yeah, you say. I mean, you could always... He surprises you by putting his mouth over yours, and you reach up to kiss him, running your hands through his hair. You moan against him as he sits down on the end of your bed, and you quickly sit up and straddle him, wrapping your legs around his waist. He slides off his gloves, and you can feel the warmth of his hands as they slide down your back. You're honestly surprised he's kissing you, but then again, you probably taste like sweet Alderaanian wine right now. That shit was really that good, and idly you distract yourself by wondering if he had ever tasted it before. Are you still trying to distract me to get into my head? You ask as he breaks the kiss to move his lips against your neck. Stop talking. It's more of an order, and you do as you're told as you let him touch you. Occasionally, his hands dip underneath your shirt, running against your bare skin, but he doesn't try to put his hands in your pants again. You let him plant gentle kisses along your collarbone, holding your head by the nape of your neck so you can't squirm or pull away. You wouldn't have tried even if you could. You let him kiss you how he wants to kiss you, let him touch you how he wants to touch you, without resisting any of it. It was like he was exploring your body in an attempt to figure out which kisses and caresses would elicit the best reactions, and you quietly moaned and purred as he touched you, urging him on. Eventually, you rest your head against his shoulder, and he puts one arm around you as he strokes your hair down your back. Your hair had come out of your ponytail, but you couldn't remember exactly how or when, not that that was really important. I don't get it, you say quietly. Why aren't you trying to get inside my head? It would probably be so easy right now. Don't tempt me, he says just as quietly, but I'm not going to take advantage of you. I want you to open your mind to me because you can. I'm not going to force you again. You think back to when he had choked you. He was clearly still feeling guilty about that. You could hear it in his voice. Because you like me, you say with some finality. He stiffens. I don't like you. Okay, you say, letting out a deep breath. You don't like me. You're a weakness, he says, and suddenly something clicks in your head. You're not a weakness. You're his weakness. Somewhere along the line, he really had stopped trying to get into your head and started trying to get into your pants instead. Or maybe one still led to the other. You weren't quite sure. Either way, he had feelings for you, and it was plainly obvious that he was as confused by them as you were. No, I'm not, you say softly, reading the situation as best you could. You speak slowly and clearly, emphasizing each word. You're the great Kylo Ren. You don't have any weaknesses. I'm just a pawn at your disposal. You're just using me as you see fit. You sit up slowly, looking him in the eye, and he regards you warily, like a wild animal being approached by something much larger and more formidable. You're still using me for your own ends, trying to wind me down, trying to get me to let my defenses down so you can get into my head. That is your primary objective, and everything else is just. You place a hand on his chest as your lips move closer to his, whispering the last word. Incidental. He grabs the back of your head with both of his large hands and kisses you roughly, nipping at your bottom lip with his teeth before he wraps both arms around your back and pulls you close to his chest. He kisses you so fervently and urgently that you can tell you struck a nerve with him, feeding him exactly what he wanted to hear. You weren't exactly sure how you knew how to say the right thing, especially when you had been wondering for days what exactly had been going on between you, but this seemed to be the right answer. It all fit. That's why he kept running away from you, and that's why he kept coming back. He had feelings for you, but he considered it a weakness. If you could convince him that this was his idea, that his weakness was actually a strength, then, well, you might get to see more of him. You kiss him back with equal passion, and it almost felt like an electric current was steadily building between you. Was it the Force at work? Was it another kind of connection entirely that let you contact him so easily? Whatever it was, you didn't want to fight it. For the first time in a long time, you knew what you wanted. You wanted to spend the day interpreting and working with Taro. You wanted to come back and joke around with Sadie and the others before dinner. You wanted to spend your nights drinking and goofing off with Ladson, and then you wanted to spend your early mornings like this, being kissed and caressed by Kylo Ren. That was what you wanted. That was what made you happy. Of course, the problem with that was that there were way too many players on the board. It meant that your happiness basically depended on everyone around you falling into the little mold of your plan. What if Sadie decided she wanted to spend her days reading instead of talking to you? What if Ladson ran out of wine and decided that he didn't want to come by and spend time with you anymore? What if Kylo Ren stopped coming by completely? You couldn't dwell on these thoughts, these fears. Fear would only make you bitter. No, you would remain cautiously optimistic, as always. The best thing that you could do was be direct about what you wanted and hope things worked out for the best. I should get going, he murmurs against your lips. He'd been there for over an hour, just kissing and holding you. You weren't exactly looking for more. This was good for right now. Come back tomorrow, you tell him as you slide off his lap. Maybe, he responds, but he seems disinterested. You grab a hold of his hand. Tomorrow, you repeat, looking up at him. You can try to get into my mind then. Maybe, he repeats, but he bends down and kisses your forehead before he slides his helmet on and walks out the door. You shut the door behind him and sink into bed, curling your arms around your pillow. You did your best, you whisper quietly to yourself. It's all you could have done. The next night, you goof around with Ladson, but you don't drink as much as you usually do. The sparring is a welcome distraction, and you basically have to pay attention so as not to get kicked upside the head, but you can't help but feel like the time is passing too slowly. Eventually, you shoo Ladson away with the excuse that you're tired and crawl into bed. That was it. He wasn't coming. You mope into your pillow like a schoolgirl with a bad crush, but you don't feel as bad as you could have. Your little speech had been endearing, and honest, to some extent. It had been bullshit, to be frank, but you knew it was what he wanted to hear. And if it was that excuse he wanted to give himself to see you, then so be it. As long as you could see him, whatever tricks or mind games he played with himself didn't really bother you all that much. You crack a grin as you realize that you were subtly manipulating him. Whether it was consciously done or not, it was manipulation all the same. Ladson would be proud. Maybe you shouldn't be afraid of Kylo Ren. Maybe Kylo Ren was the one who should be afraid of you. You'd always liked being an interpreter because you could live in that world of gray, dangling on the edge between right and wrong, where nothing really affected you. And now? Now you were coming into your own and realizing that you still inhabited that world of gray. You hadn't exactly killed anyone, but could you say for certain that you were a good person? You were selfish but kind, cowardly yet bold, embodying a series of paradoxes. So did that make you a good person? A bad person? Or something in between? It felt like you were starting to slip over to the dark side, but you couldn't be sure if that was you accepting a dormant part of yourself, or if you were merely being spun into a product of your environment. Stop thinking and go to bed, you whisper to yourself. You're about to drift off to sleep for good when you hear a knock at your door. It's not coming from the living room. You peek open one eye and grin. Dark side, light side, who cared? As long as you were getting what you wanted, you were happy. For now.